Hello and welcome back to Heart Breathings. I am so excited to finally be doing this video and to also be announcing my very first course that has just launched. So if you've been interested in my 3-day boot camp, make sure you stay to the end for that big announcement. Today we're going to be talking about how I organize my goals so that I can actually achieve them. So if you've been following me at all for any amount of time, you already know that I am a planner. And for many years, I was just that. I was someone who loved to plan. And then when it came down to actually following through with that plan, things began to fall apart. And it wasn't until I got really serious and I decided, you know what, if I'm going to truly achieve my goals and make my life what I really want it to be, then I'm going to have to get serious and I'm going to have to come up with a plan that actually works. So I developed a system and I started following a certain set of guidelines for myself that helped me to not only set those goals to be very clear, but also has allowed me to achieve those goals. And I am happy to say that in the last year, I have written more novels and achieved more than I did probably in the last 3 years combined. That is how powerful a system like this can be. And so I'm just going to briefly take you through my top 5 tips for how to organize and set your goals so that you actually achieve them. So number 1 is I know exactly what I want. Think of this just like any journey, because reaching our goals, going from where we are now to where we want to be, is a journey. And if you are getting in the car and you're going to go on a journey, you need to know the destination. But most of the time, when we're trying to set goals and we're trying to achieve our dreams, we need to know exactly where we're headed. And having a goal that's just like, I just want to be successful is a little bit too ethereal. It's too undefined. If you don't know what, number 1, success means to you, and you don't know what that level of success that you want looks like, then how do you know if you've achieved it? And how do you know if you're actually headed in the right direction? Because what will happen along the way, if all you know is something generic, like I want to be a success, what's going to happen along the way is as you're following down this path, like for example, I'm an author. So let's say I decided I want to be a successful author and I start down this path of publishing. Well, if I don't know what success looks like to me and I don't know how to measure it or exactly where I want to go or what type of author I want to be, then as I begin publishing and as I become a part of the author community, I'm going to start watching what other people are doing. And when I start paying attention to those people, it's only natural that I'm going to start veering into their path. I read a book a couple of years ago called Louder Than Words by Todd Henry, and I absolutely love him. He has a lot of really great books about like business mindset and achieving your goals. And one of the examples that he gave was if you're running a marathon and you've got your eye on the path and where you want to go, you're going to be going straight. But the minute you start paying attention to the runners beside you and you turn your head to look at them, what happens? You begin veering into their path and now you're on someone else's journey. So if you don't know what it is you want and you don't have a clear idea of what it is you're trying to achieve and what success looks like to you, then you're going to end up following a very winding road, following other people, taking other people's advice, and not having any sort of basis on which to make your decisions. How do you know whether this is something that will get you towards your goals if you don't know what your goals truly are or what it is you're out to achieve? I have a very clear picture of what success looks like to me and what kind of life I want to have and how I want to feel. So that's my first tip for success, is knowing what you want and how you want to get there. Number 2, I set realistic yet challenging goals. Now, there is nothing more depressing or frustrating than continually setting goals that are way outside the zone of possibility. Now, I'm not saying that you can't dream of someday making $1 million. You could actually go from where you are right now to making $1 million in probably 6 months if you really set your mind to it, or less. I totally believe in manifestation and the law of attraction, but I also feel like there is only so much time in our lives and there's only so much focus and attention that we are able to give to achieving our dreams. So I think for me, it is very important to set challenging goals, things that are going to push me to my limit in terms of what I think I'm capable of or what I want to do. But when I break those goals down into actual projects, I get very realistic about how much time those projects are going to take and how much time I'm able to dedicate to it. So for example, I might set a really challenging goal of I want to make $100,000 in the next 3 months. Now that's the goal because it's measurable and maybe it might be realistic or it might just be a total challenge. But then when it comes to breaking that goal down into actual projects, if I wanted to achieve that by publishing books, it would be extremely tough for me to say, so in the next 3 months, in order to make that $100,000, I'm going to write 20 books. That is just not realistic. And it doesn't matter how much law of attraction or manifesting you're trying to bring into your life, to physically sit down and write 20 novels in 3 months would probably break me, and it would break just about anybody. So even though I do set high goals for myself and sometimes ones that seem like they're going to be difficult to achieve, I make sure that the projects and tasks that I set for myself each quarter are definitely things that I can get done realistically. Now, what the outcome of those things are is completely up to, fate and customers and how many people buy my books or whatever. But at least when it comes down to the things I'm actually putting on my to-do list, the projects, the tasks to get me toward my goals, I try to stay very realistic about that. Kind of piggybacking on that, going deeper into what I just said is, I set these goals for the quarter. I've explained in other videos why I set goals by quarter, but part of it has to do with the fact that 3 months is long enough to start getting results, but it's not so long that I lose my motivation along the way. And it gives me a good time in which to review what I've done and see if it's working, and then decide if I want to keep doing more of that for the next quarter. But besides that, one of the things that I do once I set those goals for myself is I break those down into very clear projects and tasks. So what this does for me is, instead of saying, I want to make $100,000 in 3 months and having no idea how I'm going to get there, I actually spend time thinking about what projects can I put into place that will help me achieve that goal of making $100,000. And then once I have my projects decided, I go in and I list every single task that needs to get done to complete that project. And this has been one of the most important parts of achieving my goals in the last year. Number 4 is that I say no to things that do not move me closer to that ideal vision of my life. So in number 1, I talked about how I know exactly where I want to go and what it looks like. Here is where I say, if something does not align with that goal for my future, it doesn't matter if it looks like a great opportunity for someone else or someone else's future. If it doesn't seem like it's getting me a little bit closer to that goal, or it doesn't seem like it's a path I want to go down long term, then I simply don't do it. I know that this can be a big challenge, especially when we're talking about income, because sometimes, let's face it, you're going to have to take on short-term or even long-term projects or jobs that you're not super excited about because you have to pay the bills and you have to feed your family. But when it comes to my main goals in life, I do everything I can to say no to anything that does not align with that ideal vision of my future. And of course, that ideal vision of my future changes and shifts as I move. So this is always a moving target, but there are staples. Like, I know I want to be a best-selling author, and I know what that looks like to me. I know what success means to me when it comes to being an author. And so if something does not move me down that path a little bit closer to being the kind of author I want to be, then I just say no to it. For example, there are trends that come and go all the time, and it can be very tempting to see a trend. Like, a lot of times these trends are romance trends. So let's say there's a romance trend of writing dragon shifter romance. Well, just because I have a friend who's making loads and loads of money, maybe even hitting that $100,000 target writing dragon romance, if that does not get me excited and it doesn't move me closer to my long-term vision for my life to write dragon romance, then I'm simply not going to do it. However, if YA science fiction was something I was really interested in writing and it aligns with my long-term goals and it also happens to be a trend, then I would consider putting that on my 3-month plan to start making money or to start achieving my goals. But it can be very powerful to know what you want and then to say no. I'm just not going to do anything that doesn't move me closer to that, no matter how tempting it may be. And having the clarity and the ability to say no to things that are really not in alignment with who you are or where you want to go is so extremely empowering. And it also makes sure that you don't scatter your focus in a million different directions, because once you get scattered, you're putting a little bit of your energy here, a little bit here, a little bit here, but you're not ever actually building up to something that's really going to be meaningful in your life. So saying no to things that don't align with where you want to go long term. And my final tip for how I actually set goals that I achieve is that I take care of my mental health. And I feel like this is one that isn't really discussed enough, because people talk all the time about like go, hustle, work hard, spend all your time achieving. And in our society today, there is just so much pressure on getting a lot done and achieving big things. But what we don't talk about is the mental side of that, because especially as artists, which a lot of you who are watching this may be authors as well, but no matter what it is you do, especially if you're an entrepreneur in some fashion, you'll notice that it is very tempting to want to work, 12, 15 plus hour days or 60, 70, 80 hour weeks, because your business solely depends on you. And the more time you put into it, the more you're hoping you're going to get out of it. But what happens is the more you neglect your mental health, the more likely you are to burn out, to get depressed, to lose your motivation and passion for it, and to sort of get a distorted view of what you're actually starting to build for yourself. It's very easy to go into what would be called diminishing returns at some point. Like there's only so many hours that you can put into work and being creative and making decisions and ignoring the things that really bring you joy before you start to completely burn out and no longer be able to give yourself to that passion. And what I have found personally is that what happens is the more I neglect my mental health, then suddenly I'm working so hard and so many hours on something that I loved that I begin to not love it anymore. And once you start to lose your joy and passion for this thing that you started simply because you loved it so much, once you lose that love, then why are you doing this in the first place? It is so incredibly important to pay attention to your mental health, to not allow yourself to burn out, and to watch for signs of burnout. I have a video that I will link down below or put up in a card here about avoiding burnout. So many of us are on the fringes of burnout, and what happens when you do reach a point of complete fatigue and exhaustion from hustling so hard that you are not taking a break out for yourself is you suddenly can't perform at all anymore. And sometimes you can be out for months, if not years at a time, because you completely burned yourself out. I make sure that I take breaks. I make sure that I do things that are purely just for fun and not for work. And I make sure to really pay attention to how I'm feeling. And once I start to get to a point where something makes me cry at the drop of a hat, or I feel like I'm this tense rubber band that's just going to snap at any minute, then no matter what deadlines I have on my plate, no matter how many little stickies are still left on that Kanban board back there, I know that I have to take a break. And it doesn't matter what else has to fall to the wayside. If that means a new video doesn't go up for a couple of weeks, or that means a book is late on deadline, then so be it. Because I know from experience that missing a week or two is so much less dangerous than burning out completely or taking myself so far over the edge that I miss 6 months or a year. I have been there, and it is very dangerous. So definitely pay attention to your mental health and how you're feeling, and continue to check in with your own feelings daily if you can. And if you start to feel that burnout, or you start to notice that you've been consistently working 10 plus hour days for weeks on end, and you're starting to feel that stress ramp up, then it's time to take a mental health break. Go to the beach, go for a walk, take a week off and go on vacation, whatever it is you need to do, because you will be more productive and more joyful in the long run. All right, guys, so that is my top 5 tips for how I organize and set goals so that I actually achieve them. And speaking of goals, goals, I am so incredibly excited to let you guys know that I have officially launched my very first course here for Heart Breathings. It is called the Finish Strong 3-Day Bootcamp. It will be taking place actually in just over a week with a kickoff call on Thursday, September 20th, and the 3-day bootcamp will begin on Friday the 21st, and day 2 will be on Saturday, and then the final day on Sunday. This will be an online course with the kickoff call is Thursday night, but even if you can't attend this course live, video recordings will be available for you so you can take it at any time. But the purpose of this course is basically to walk you through my system for figuring out what my vision of my future is, setting those goals, and then breaking those into the projects and tasks that I know I need to tackle for the next quarter. So as we approach quarter 4 of 2018, if you are ready to completely feel like you are on top of your goals and to have it be the most productive quarter of your 2018, then I hope that you will join me in the Finish Strong 3-day bootcamp. It comes with, if you've been watching my channel, you'll know that I have been designing my own planner pages. This course will come with a free printable copy of my quarterly goals planner, and that will include an entire goal setting section, a way to really realistically break down your projects and tasks, as well as monthly overviews, weekly spreads, and daily pages for every day of quarter 4. So I hope that you will join me for this 3-day bootcamp. The normal price for the bootcamp is $149, but for my tribe here on YouTube, I am offering a discount to $99. So if you would like, you can either use the code TRIBE to get your $50 off, or if you click the link in the description box below, your coupon should already be applied for you. I promise you guys, this is going to be such a fun course. You are going to be amazed at how much you begin to really take control and tackle your to-do list. And once you gain that clarity and you know exactly what you're working on every day, it is like lifting weight off your shoulders and becomes so incredibly freeing. But we will be talking about my system for setting those goals, figuring out your projects and tasks, setting up a Kanban board like the one that I have back here, as well as using your free planner. So I would be thrilled to have you join me. There are also a limited number of private one-on-one coaching sessions where we will discuss your plans, your goals, as well as, if you're a writer, your publishing strategy. So there are a limited number of those available as well if you are interested. I only have a few available because those are hour-long calls. And if you're interested, you can email me at sarah@heartbreathings.com. My email will be down below, or you can sign up for those after you've signed up for the 3-day bootcamp. I cannot tell you how long I have wanted to do these courses, to start this YouTube channel, and it makes me so incredibly happy and grateful for every one of you that watch these videos, for each one of you who comment week after week, who like the videos and have subscribed to this channel and supported me throughout this journey. Thank you so much, and I really sincerely hope to see you in the bootcamp. All right, guys, that is it for today. Hopefully I will have a video out for you later this week as well, but my husband actually, while I was recording this, just popped his head in and said that they have announced an evacuation for Charleston, so we are probably going to be out of here, so you might not see a new video from me later this week, and I will see you next week instead. All right, guys, stay safe if you are in the path of Hurricane Florence, and otherwise, I will see you in the boot camp. All right, bye.